Okay, switching gears, let me ask you this because this is a big topic of discussion sometimes with Tupac fans. You being around him a lot, did you see him wear his bulletproof vest a lot or not so much?
Not so much. But he wasn't going to wear that around us. So the times that I was with Tupac, he was inside of the recording studio or he was at me and Eric B's crib. So he was in a safe space. He didn't feel the need to wear those around people that he knew had his well-being, you know. But I can recall every once in a blue moon him coming into the studio and having it on. But I assume that's because he might have been riding down the street or he might have been coming from a movie set. But he wouldn't keep it on the whole time he was in the studio. I mean, come on, if you're a Tupac fan, the man barely kept his shirt on, let alone a vest, a bulletproof vest. You know how heavy a bulletproof vest is? It's hot in that studio. Those lights are going. It's marijuana smoke everywhere. And he was a big Hennessy drinker. So if the man couldn't keep his shirt on, come on, y'all. A vest, a bulletproof vest all the time. So my point of view, not as much as no, no. Every now and then, yeah. And if he came in with it on, he took it off. Who's shooting in the studio? Who was shoot? If he was wearing them, then we all needed to be wearing them, and I didn't wear one, so that don't even make no sense.
Okay. People say different things about this, and I want to see if you ever overheard or if you said anything. Did you get any sort of chatter or any inkling that he was going to leave death row?
Yes, that he wanted to. This is what he told me. Okay, so I got to give you a little backstory. When the Me and My Girlfriend, which was my girlfriend, was finished, I hadn't heard it, but he did. And one day he came bopping into the manager's office and he was like, "Did you hear our song?" And at the time I'm like, "I don't know what you're talking about." Like, no, he didn't say our song. He like, "Did you hear the song?" And I'm like, "What song?" And he like, "The song. Did you hear the song?" And he's having a hard time expressing himself. And I recall my coworker saying, "This is a studio. We hear all the songs." And I'm a smart ass. I'm like, "Yeah. So what song are you talking about?" And he's like, "Me and My Girlfriend." And I'm like, "No." He's like, "My girlfriend." And I'm like, "No, I haven't." And he like, "You haven't heard the song that we did together? You haven't heard our song, really?" And I'm like, "No," because when they were doing the mixing and the mastering, they were doing it over a track. Most of the songs that I heard were like Hail Mary, that was being mixed and mastered where we are. It was all types of other songs that were being mixed and mastered in Can-Am. That song that we were on wasn't done there. And this was actually Wednesday before the fight. And he tells me that he was thinking about, he has shot the video for All Eyes on, no, not All Eyes on Me. He has shot the video for I Ain't Mad at You. But now that My Girlfriend is complete, he's thinking about shooting the video when he gets back to that. And if I haven't heard the song, he didn't have time to play the song for me because he was on his way to set shooting Gridlocked or Gang Related, whichever one, but he didn't have time. But he wanted to basically give me my flowers and tell me that he was proud of me and I made the song and it wouldn't be the same without me. And I really brought his vision to life. And he asked me, "Where did you get that from?" And I said, "Well, it kind of came off the top of my head." I said, "But I'm a performer." He didn't know. He just thought I was a dancer. I said, "I'm in a girls group and I'm singing and I'm dancing and I'm doing all kinds of stuff, Pac." And he was like, "Why don't nobody here at Death Row know that you do any of that?" And I told him, "I don't want to be signed to this record label." And he said, "Neither do I." He said, "I got one more project." I think he said, "I got not one more. This last project that I'm working on right now fulfills my contract with them. And then I'm going to start my own record label. And matter of fact, I want you to come with me. So don't tell nobody. If you ain't told nobody, don't tell nobody now. Because after what you did on me and my girlfriend, I want you to come and be on my label. It's going to be you, me, the Outlaws. Storm of the Outlaws was going to have her own solo project. But you can't tell nobody my idea or the idea for the video that I want to do. Because the production company that I'm working with, I'm going to have them shoot it. And then we're going to pick which one is the best video. So, yeah. And that night that he spent with me and Eric B., he talked about leaving the label too. And how he got caught up in the East Coast, West Coast beef. And it's not what he wanted to continue doing. And he and Suge were having creative differences on where the music needed to go. Because honestly, he felt like he said what he needed to say. He had called out who he needed to have called out already. And going in a circle was counterproductive to where he wanted his career to go. And because he was on, what do you call it when you bail somebody? He was on bail. He was running out of time and he needed to get all the work that he owed Death Row Records done. That way, if he does have to go back to jail or if he is found guilty, that any music that he's recorded can be released on his record label. Now, that was a private conversation that he was having with Eric B. But I did overhear that, and he did tell me that Wednesday before he left for Las Vegas that, just like me, he didn't want to be on the label no more either.
Okay. Let me ask you this, because like the Outlaws and people have always come out and said, Tupac, wasn't going to be on Death Row anymore, but he was going to start Machiavelli Records, which was going to be distributed through Death Row. Do you think that's what he was referring to? Or do you feel like he truly was like, I want to be completely separate from this label?
No, I believe he wanted to be completely separate from that label. Completely separated. I don't think he liked the beat downs. I don't think he liked the womanizing. I honestly think something in him clicked after he got all of that anger off his chest from the abandonment that he felt from all of his so-called friends on the East Coast and everybody that had abandoned him when he went to prison. I think once he got all of that off of his chest, once he saw how Death Row was being ran, and I hate to say it like this, but I have a term called nigga business. I don't think he wanted anything to do with that. I think he really started to really think about, and I don't know if his mother, Afeni Shakur, was an influence on this, but I think who he was as a man and how he was raised was totally against everything that was happening at Death Row Records. And I'm talking about his Black Panther connection. He was all about, growing up as a Black Panther, the unification of Black people. And what he witnessed there, and I'm sure he witnessed way more. Like I said, they protected me, so I didn't see a lot of things. What he saw really went totally against how he was raised. So yeah, I think he wanted to be completely, I'm not even going to sugarcoat it, completely disconnected from Death Row Records.